What's going on, A to Z Sports? Sam Phelan here with you live for Titans at 2. Talking a little bit big picture about something I find very interesting regarding the national narrative around your Tennessee Titans and what the national narrative around the Titans is at this point in the offseason. It has been a very busy offseason for Tennessee. They came in with a laundry list of needs, a very long to-do list for Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan. And in fact, Brian Callahan was first up on that to-do list, finding a new head coach. Then there was replacing his coaching staff. Then there was all of the roster holes that needed to be filled and so much more. And so far, Amy Adams Strunk, Rand Carthon, Brian Callahan, they've been very aggressive about knocking so many of these things off. We saw them get out early in free agency by signing a running back in Tony Pollard. Then they went and got a center in Lloyd Cushenberry. They added an inside linebacker in Kenneth Murray. They go and make a big splash with the Calvin Ridley signing. A lot of depth moves here and there, bringing back Nick Folk, bringing back Nick Westbrook-Akine, some big coaching moves along the way. And now here they are with their most recent acquisition. And it comes in the form of a trade for Kansas City Chiefs cornerback L'Jarius Sneed. And so this deal that you see Jordan Schultz reporting there at the bottom did just get done today, as L'Jarius Sneed passed his physical. L'Jarius Sneed has signed a 4-year, $76.4 million extension worth $19 million in average salary, $55 million guaranteed, and $20 million signing bonus. All of this good stuff, all of this, I think, would lead the Titans fan base to feel like things are getting close. Competition is getting, like, the Titans are budding on being able to compete in the AFC South in what feels like a wide open division. Now, I know there's a lot of hype coming in around the Houston Texans, and they've certainly gotten better this offseason as well. CJ Stroud had a phenomenal rookie season. Cannot say enough good things about what he did, but it does feel wide open to me. Houston still has to prove it, I think, by going and doing it another year, because as we saw from the Jacksonville Jaguars, they had one great season, not even a great season, to be honest. They went 9-8 or whatever and won the division. Dropped back, did not win the division. The Indianapolis Colts last year with Gardner Minshew at quarterback almost won the division. They were about 20 yards away from knocking the Texans out of the playoffs altogether. And so I think you got 4 teams right now who all currently believe they have their young franchise quarterback. 3 of those teams have that quarterback. Actually, well, all 4 of those teams still have that quarterback on their rookie contract. Trevor Lawrence's is coming to an end pretty soon. But right now, Lawrence, Richardson, Levis, Stroud, all on rookie deals. So you got 4 organizations all within the same spot. And so what I find very interesting as I just go and see some of you guys commenting about who's next. I see a comment here about how only the injury bug can potentially stop the Titans now. That seems to be the vibe among the fan base. And yet I ask you the question that's in the title of the show today: is the entire NFL sleeping on the 2024 Titans because of where the betting odds currently are? If you go to betmgm.com right now, here are the current betting odds for your Titans in 2024. AFC South winner, plus 800. That column to your right is for Super Bowl odds. To win the Super Bowl is all the way on the left. To go to the Super Bowl is all the way, or is in the middle. And that's for AFC teams. AFC champion odds is that column in the middle. Titans are plus 8,000 in that category. So just so we're clear, those are the longest odds of any team in the AFC. You see the Patriots, the Broncos, the Raiders as the next 3 teams ahead of the Titans on BetMGM, on sportsbooks, according to Vegas, according to the national narrative. The Tennessee Titans are the worst team in the AFC right now. The worst team in the AFC, the biggest long shot to win the conference and go to the Super Bowl in the division that they play in, by the way. I'll remind you again, plus 800 to win the division. Texans, Jags, Colts all seem like kind of a toss-up. Their odds are pretty similar. That is a significant gap between the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans. And so I ask you, all of you in the chat, Kendall, Karen, Matthew, Steven, Danny, Jason, Kenny, Rashid, anybody watching today, is the NFL sleeping on the Titans? Is this a fair or a foul judgment for them in their betting odds? Because I do think this jumped out to me as being shockingly long odds for them. And yet I do think we have to approach this with a level of realism. But where is the fan base at right now? Where is the fan base feeling like this team could be? Because let's look at the roster. You have Will Levis at quarterback, who, people in the league are either a little wishy-washy on. I think overall Titans fans, myself included, are rather high on Levis and what he can develop into in this system. You have an offensive-minded head coach in Brian Callahan. You have offensive weapons like DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears and Chigakonkwo. The offensive line still needs a lot of work, but between Peter Skoronski and Lloyd Cushenberry and then whatever's coming in the NFL draft or in the rest of free agency, I think you can fill out a competitive offensive line. The defense has added Chidobe Awuzie, has added L'Jarius Sneed, still has Amani Hooker and Jeffrey Simmons and Arden Key, has added a Kenneth Murray, has a new defensive coordinator in Denard Wilson. Are there holes for the Titans? Yes, absolutely. I still think they have a long way to go before we can consider them contenders in this division and contenders in the playoffs. But are the Titans really the worst team in the AFC right now? I think this is absolutely foul. I think this is absolutely disrespectful. And quite frankly, I think the NFL world is sleeping on the talent of this team right now. C-Shoot says, yes, they're sleeping. They always have. Major Keys says it's foul. Chase says, let them sleep. That's fine. Jay says, yeah, it's crazy, to be honest. It's foul, but it's this way every year from Patrick. Foul for sure, says Top Tier. Amy thinks the Titans are going to be a problem this season, which I would tend to agree. Jacob wants to know what book this is. This is BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. So you can go get these odds on BetMGM if you want. Jay says, keeping quiet on this, LOL. Listen, I think two things can be true here. And I think Titans fans need to remember this. You can think that this is outrageous and also not be standing here declaring yourself Super Bowl champions or AFC champions or AFC South champions at this point in the year. But even if the Titans are a 7-10, 8-9, 9-8 football team in 2024, putting their odds to win the AFC South lower than New England, who does not have a quarterback on their roster right now, is crazy to me. Lower than the Las Vegas Raiders, who might be starting Gardner Minshew, maybe. And that's a bad roster that was already worse last year. I don't believe in Antonio Pierce as their head coach. Lower than the Denver Broncos, who are currently starting Sam Darnold at quarterback, who just lost Jerry Jeudy. I think it is a little bit wild to put the Titans this far down in the rankings. And quite frankly, I don't think the gap between the Titans and the rest of their division is this significant. You could make an argument to me that the Titans are last place in the AFC South. I'm not sure I would dispute you too much on that, especially not right now. They still have work to do. I need to see them get a safety. I need to see another inside linebacker. I think you could go add another edge rusher, and we know about the offensive line and what they have to add up there. But are you telling me that those things can't happen? I mean, they're still top 5 in the NFL in cap space. They still have the number 7 overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft and the number 38 pick, where they could potentially fill a couple of those needs as well. I think you're probably a few players away from having this team be a little frisky, a little fun. I don't think you're at plus 8,000. Get caught up with the chat. MB says, Sam, who cares what odds makers think? What does it actually do? Well, for one, you could care what odds makers think because you could profit off of it. You could go ahead and place a bet on BetMGM right now. By the way, in case you're not wanting to bet on them to win the division, in case you're not wanting them to place a bet on them to win the AFC, totally understandable. You could place a bet on the Titans right now over 5.5 wins. It is a juiced over-under right now on the under. The sports books, Vegas projects the Titans to go 5-12. So if you think this team could be better, who cares? Maybe you should. Maybe you should go and profit off of it. I just want to check in and see where the fan base is, because I was really surprised to find this out. But I do think, as some of you have pointed out, is this a Will Levis thing? Is that what this comes down to at the end of the day? Do we think? So go ahead, leave your comment here. Why do we believe Vegas is this low on the Titans with what we understand about their roster right now? I think there's a couple things it could be. I think it could be a Will Levis thing. I think it could be just the idea of a first-year head coach. I think it could be the small market and the fact that there's not a lot of attention on the Titans right now, but even that doesn't feel like what it is. Like Danny says, we never get national media love, which is true. The Titans are always kind of neglected by national media. Absolute fact. Vegas is different than national media because Vegas is in the business of making money. Vegas does not show bias based on market size. Vegas wants the best bet possible. So this is different than somebody going on NFL Network and predicting the Titans to finish last place in their division. That very different things here. This is different than ESPN misspelling Jeffrey Simmons' name or putting the wrong picture of him up on Madden when they download the rosters. This is a company trying to make money in a sports book and in all of the sports books in such a profitable industry for them, putting the Titans at the bottom. Why? QB concerns. Maybe it's the first-year head coach and the idea of a new system, a new scheme, not a lot of belief. Austin says it's Levis, the O-line, and the small market. The offensive line, possibly a factor here. Sean says Levis cannot get hurt. They do have a decent backup now in Mason Rudolph, I'm not going to be sitting here banging the drum on, hey, bet the Titans over as contenders because they have Mason Rudolph. But I don't think they're completely screwed if Will Levis, if he misses significant time, obviously, right? But if he misses a game or two, I do think you can win with Mason Rudolph. That's the point that I'm trying to get across here. Thomas says it's QB concerns. Keyshawn says they just hate him. They're just jealous. I think this is rooted in Will Levis right now. That is what I ultimately believe the doubt for the Titans comes from. Because frankly, if you look at Will Levis's numbers, I don't believe his statistics do a very good job of encapsulating the quarterback that he was as a rookie. I think Titans fans who were in the weeds, watching every snap of every game, have a little bit of an understanding of what Will Levis was dealing with. That offensive line was atrocious. Next level bad. No real time to throw. Really only one wide receiver. DeAndre Hopkins had a really good year. The second most targeted wide receiver for the Titans last year was Nick Westbrook-Akine. And he was the fourth most targeted player. After DeAndre Hopkins, it was Chigakonkwo and Tajay Spears that got the next most targets. He had to rely, as Matthew points out, on D-Hop pretty much solely. It was a Levis, drop back, try not to get killed, try and stay alive. Hopefully D-Hop can get open. Hopefully you can find a deep ball to Chris Moore every once in a while. So I think his numbers, as I was saying, did not really reflect the type of toughness, heart, talent that Titans fans saw from Will Levis, where you saw all of the intangibles and skills that plugged into an offense led by an offensive head coach in Brian Callahan, who's able to protect the quarterback, scheme his wide receivers open in an offense that has two versatile running backs that are both able to pass protect, catch passes, and get yards after the catch with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, and an offense that has two wide receivers in DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley that are both 1,000-plus yard guys that can line up anywhere in a formation. Ridley has the burst to beat guys down the field and to run after the catch. Hopkins has the play strength to make contested catches. When you add all of that together, and you give him Brian Callahan, and you potentially give him a better offensive line, and you give him Bill Callahan coaching the offensive line, that is where the optimism from Titans fans comes from in Will Levis. And that is where I think the disconnect is between what we who watch the Titans think of Will Levis and they who are placing odds based on statistics, who are firing off takes on national media shows based off of statistics, based off of narratives. That's where I believe this disconnect is. So I do think these betting odds, which I will show you again, are good value. Bet responsibly. Do I think the Titans win the AFC South? No. At plus 800, I'm going to bet it. Do I think they win the AFC? Definitely not. At plus 8,000, yeah, I might bet it. I'm not going to lie. I'm certainly going to bet the over on 5.5. That I will be doing. They won 5, or they might. How many games did they win last year? 6? 5? I don't remember at this point. I try and erase it from my memory. And they're better. You can take that to the bank that the Titans are better in 2024 than they were in 2023. I believe that wholeheartedly. Roster alone. 6. Yes, I did remember they won that last game of the year. The Derrick Henry send-off game got them that 6th win. It's interesting. It really is fun, but I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by the Titans and surprised by Will Levis. Now, I think Titans fans, we need to keep our expectations somewhat grounded here. We need to keep our opinions and enthusiasm tempered, right? We have to understand reality. Will Levis might not be a top 5 quarterback in the game. He might not ever be that. I said when he came out of the draft at Kentucky that I felt like his ceiling in the NFL could be that of Josh Allen. I still believe that. That's not me saying he's going to be Josh Allen and fully live up to that, fully carry that out. I do think he has the physical tools in them to have a Josh Allen type of production. But even if he's not, that's okay. I don't think he needs to be top 5 in the NFL for this team to be really good and win, and for Will Levis to be the face of sports in Music City. I don't think he needs to be top 8. I mean, if Will Levis is consistently in the 8 to 12 range, let's just say that, 8 to 12, a consistently above average quarterback. You're looking at like what Baker Mayfield or Jordan Love were last season. If that is what Will Levis is, I'm okay with that. I think Titans fans should be okay with that. I think you can absolutely win a Super Bowl with that. The idea in the National Football League right now that you have to be immediately good as a rookie, or you have to have the year 2 jump of Patrick Mahomes, I think is a bit foolish. I think part of the reason everybody outside of Nashville is down on Levis is because of how high they are on CJ Stroud. I think they saw a quarterback come out and throw for almost 4,000 yards and win a playoff game and, almost win the MVP award as a rookie, a guy who had a crazy season, and it made them go, everybody else who's not that, I don't think that is a very rational way of viewing this. So I like the value. I think people are sleeping on the Titans. I don't think they're done this offseason. We've listened, if you've paid any attention to what Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan have been saying to reporters like Jim Wyatt or Paul Kaharski over at the NFL owners meetings in Florida, in Orlando, I don't believe the Titans believe that they're done. Rand Carthon mentioned, maybe it was Brian Callahan, somebody, one of the two of them, was talking about offensive line and talked about right tackle and how they didn't necessarily feel like the right tackle had to be on the roster right now. It didn't have to be Nicholas Petit-Frere or Jalen Duncan, that they could go get 2 offensive tackles in the NFL draft. It could be Joe Alt and another tackle at 38. That's possible. Who knows, right? They could say, Alt, you play left, Patrick Paul, you play right, or whatever weird combination they want. Kingsley Suamataia, you play right tackle. This is what we're going to do. They could do that. They brought up the possibility of potentially signing another offensive lineman, signing a right tackle. You've got Mekhi Becton and other starting caliber, high upside pieces still out there on the market that Bill Callahan could potentially sink his claws into, help develop, and get a productive player. So, safety, inside linebacker, edge rusher, at least one tackle, maybe another pass catcher. These are things that we'd like to see the Titans add. They have 2 draft picks of high status to do it right now, and they still have the resources in free agency to make some moves happen. So this team is not done. This team has already improved substantially. I'm more bullish on the Titans right now than, frankly, I thought I would be at this point in the offseason. But that's where I am. Maybe it's still Justin Simmons coming. Maybe it's Marcus May coming. I mean, if Justin Simmons comes and signs with the Titans, as Sean says here, you're looking at one of the more talented secondaries in the NFL, which is wild given what they were last year. But if your secondary in 2024 is McCreary, Sneed, and Awuzie as your corners with Amani Hooker and Justin Simmons at safety, that's a really good group. And like I said, I still think there's plenty of opportunities for them to add at right tackle. They will, right? Rand Carthon is not dumb. Rand Carthon understands what his football team needs. He understands what's out there. And I think Rand Carthon understands patience. I'll remind everybody that last offseason, we were having this conversation about wide receiver. Titans got to add a wide receiver. Titans got to add a wide receiver. Titans got to add a wide receiver. NFL draft came along. When are they taking a wide receiver? And it wasn't until the 7th round. And you looked up and you said, is Rand Carthon dumb? Is Mike Vrabel dumb? Do they not understand that we need a wide receiver on this football team? What did they say? Be patient. Chill out. What did they do 3 months later? Got DeAndre Hopkins. It's a long offseason. There's a lot of players that are available, a lot of players that are coming available, and a lot of more moves to be made. So this has been a great start to the offseason. Don't hit the panic button because there's not a right tackle on the roster right now. Training camp does not start next week. That's all I got for you guys today. But I think the NFL sleeping on your 2024 Titans. And have some fun before I head out, because I am seeing this comment out there. It is pronounced Awuzie, according to him. It's a little unnatural. I know. Chidobe Awuzie is how he said you would say his name in English. So I'm still kind of adjusting, trying to say it consistently, but that is what Cheeto has said his name is pronounced like. So appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for tuning in. Titans at 2. I will be back with probably a pre-recorded version. I'm out of town later this week, traveling a little bit, but we are still going to have Titans at 2. So thanks for joining me. And until next time, tighten up. We'll see you later.